Welcome back. So now we have our create component HTML file up and running, and we kind of have a back button, stuff like that. So the next step will be to actually start creating our first form right here. Now, Angular has two different forms to work with. They have something called template-driven forms and reactive forms. And let me try and show you where we can get the information. If you go into Angular.io, docs, fundamentals, forms, and then you have a lot of information about the different forms you have available. Now, also about form validation, by the way. What we are going to use is reactive forms because they are easier to use when we want to do validation. At least that's my point of view. So I'm going to click reactive forms, and then there's a lot about reactive forms right here. Now the most important thing on the first page right here is we need to switch module from using the forms module that we're using right now into using the reactive module that we're going to use next. So switching from this module to this module, that's what we're going to start out with. And this is very important, else you won't be able to follow my guide right here. So I'm going into my app module right here, my app module TS file, and there I'm going to go and change the forms module into being the reactive forms module. And look, it's from the same package, it's just a different module right here. Now the next thing I want to do is scroll down to the imports and switch here to the reactive form module as well. Now nothing should explode because we're not using forms yet, so it shouldn't be a problem to make the switch. Good, so that's a good start. Now we jump back here and we can start having a look at how it actually works. There's a lot of information of the difference between reactive and template-driven forms. I'm going to skip that. You can go and read it if you want to. But I want to start actually working with the form just to get something up and running in this first video right here. Now, notice to actually start using, when you scroll down to something like create reactive form components, you can see this is how we actually start creating forms. Here we have a template, a form control that we can actually use to create our first property. That's going to be first name and last name. So let's try and create those two properties right here, and then we can use them. So let me jump back to my code, jump into my create component TS file, and here I'm going to create two properties. One is going to be called first name, and the other one is going to be called last name. I'm going to import the form control here for both of them, and notice again, I'm not going to put in addresses in the beginning. We will add those later because I don't want to make the application even more complex for you right now than it already is. When I did this, of course, I had to import the form control from Angular Forms. Okay, so now we have the form control available, but how do we use it? They kind of just made a very simple template right here, and notice they're actually using Bootstrap in here in the example. Yeehaw, we already have Bootstrap, so happy days. I'm just going to grab the label right here. That's a very simple label. It has a name, and then we have the input field here. That's all we have. Let's try and copy that and just paste it into our HTML here. We're going to make a new div below the first one where we had kind of the navigation right. To go back, we're going to make a new div here, and there we're going to make a new class, and that's going to be a colMD12 to grab all the space again. Now we can change this later. I just want to get you guys started right here, and then I'll put in the first label and call it first name, like this, first name, and then we will have the first name property that we built that needs to be a form control, right? And then we'll add another label right below it here, and that we will call last name like this, and that will of course reference to the form controls last name, not last name. That's also a good idea, but that's actually not what I'm looking for. Let's see what we got now. Jumping back to our app, here we go. We have two different input fields, and they're actually bound to our code. So let's have a look at this in the next lesson. See you next time.